Hello, everyone. And today we are now beginning our journey. Kind of literally, we're going to begin a journey today through the modern Middle East in terms of the age of nation states. Um, in the next couple of lectures that are going to remain through the class, we're going to see what happened after the collapse of the Ottoman Empire, the various states that emerged in its place, as well as the collapse of a Persian Empire and its eventual formation into a 20th century hereditary monarchy that was trying to modernize into a nation state and then it morphed into an Islamic republic. But usually the following exercise I do is kind of a way to give you a review of geography, because my assumption is, God knows we barely know our geography. I don't expect you to know the geography of the Middle East. Nonetheless, let's kind of do a review of Middle Eastern geography. That would be fun, and also teach you a couple of things of what makes each country unique. So what we're going to pretend to do in the following is, I'm going to teach you geography by imagining we're on a Winnebago. We're going to take a Winnebago journey throughout the Middle East. This is our Winnebago, pimped up, pimped our ride. Much better improvement over our last Winnebago, which looked like this. And we're going to use this imaginary bus basically a bus with a living room, and take a journey through the Middle East. Okay. So here's a blank map of the Middle East. And our journey for the remainder of the semester and for this particular lecture begins in the city here with a red arrow. Of course, that is modern day Turkey, the Republic of Turkey to be exact. And let's see, what does our city look like? Okay, well, we've been talking about this place for quite a while. This is the seat of the Ottoman Empire. And of course, this is Istanbul, the original History Channel, as it was called. Here we see a picture of the European side of Istanbul. If you see a bridge, let me get my head out of the way. There we go. There we see a bridge. That's Asia. Literally, how long is this? 5 minutes on a good day. 5 minutes, I should say, on an imaginary day. In theory, if I'm coming home from I just bit my tongue. Okay. If I'm coming home from clubbing, those days, yeah, like 3 a.m., I'm puking up into the original History Channel from the taxi window. It'll take about 5 minutes. Normally, it takes an hour. There's so much traffic to get from Europe to Asia. That's how long it takes from you to get to Europe to Asia. And we'll begin our Winnebago trip, let's say, in Europe, on the European side of Istanbul. God, I really do hope you could see the cursor. Otherwise, this is not going to make any sense. But the cursor, if you can't see it, is in the imperial harem. That is Topkapi Palace. And yeah, sure, we'll begin our tour with the harem. It's it's about like $15. Actually, no, the economy tanked. What am I thinking? It's $5 if we're paying in dollars. Yeah, bad for the Turks, good for us. Okay. So there we go, where we can see Asia. This is the European side that we're looking at. Okay. There's Hagia Sophia, by the way. The biggest church in the world until St. Peter's was built in Rome. And just to show you how big Hagia Sophia is, there we go. And I'm showing this to just harken back to a lecture where we see the prominent matriarch, or the image of a prominent matriarch that's displayed prominently. Now, this would originally have been a Greek Orthodox church. Of course, it's a prominent matriarch that we see in Catholic churches, not so much in Protestant churches, which kind of push down the imagery of the Virgin Mary. So here we see the Virgin Mary on top of this church. Now keep in mind, I don't know the status of the icon of the Virgin Mary, because this church was, for the most time when I took this picture, a museum. The recent Turkish government, which we'll be talking about at length in this week's lecture, reinstituted its status as a mosque. And in theory, now this is up for a huge debate, but pictorial depictions, at least in Sunni Islam, is frowned upon. Muslims revere the Virgin Mary, but wouldn't necessarily have an image of the Virgin Mary in a functioning mosque. So I'm not sure if this is covered or not. Let's go right besides the Hagia Sophia Mosque and look at how old Istanbul, in other words, when it was the capital of the Byzantine Empire or the Eastern Roman Empire, how did it get its water? Well, this would be filled to the rim. Okay, it would be filled to the rim with water. Okay, now it's been drained because there's something called indoor plumbing. It's interesting, when they drained it, what was found? An image of Medusa. Now, Medusa is one of the earliest patriarchal myths out there. What was Medusa's crime? Why was her hair turned into snakes? She was a rape victim by horny Zeus, if I'm not mistaken. Zeus was just that really horny god, okay? Which her punishment, not Zeus's punishment, was to be inflicted with a head of snakes. That was Greek mythology. Wasn't uncommon in ancient Greek cultures to have images of Medusa. Once the Eastern Roman Empire goes Christian, though, it's a pagan image and has to be, well, destroyed, just use it for a functional purpose, supporting a pillar in this underwater this underwater, this water storage tank. What? God, this is so outdated. What money would we have been spending if we went to Turkey in, let's say, 2005? 1 million liras would be enough to get you a really big piece of bread. It was like $1. It's outdated because they took away the zeros. It's now, they don't use 1 millions anymore. It'll be 1 lira will get you a third of that piece of big bread. And what would we see on the streets? Flyers of the founder of the Republic of Turkey. Get used to this person's visage. This is Mustafa Kemal Atatürk. This picture, though, is also suggesting a dichotomy. Here we see on the streets of Istanbul a veiled woman. And of course, one of Atatürk's legacy was to institute a public policy of unveiling in Turkey. We'll talk about that in the next lecture. You guys are thirsty. Let me take you to get some Starbucks, which is ironic because this is really a place that serves chai or tea. But nonetheless, tea is good. You know, let's get away from those frappuccinos, sorry. That's a Freudian slip. And what can we sell about, we're gonna look at the Republic of Turkey and compare it to the Islamic Republic of Iran. Yes, in the Islamic Republic of Iran, Turkey's neighbor, you cannot have an image of Amy Winehouse bearing cleavage and her arms, plus a naked dancer next to her. But where are we going to go for our entertainment? A taverna, music hall, where I guess we're going to see belly dancers and I guess Amy Winehouse cover. You want something to drink here? You can have Bailey's, whiskey, or a tequila that recently went to the bathroom in the Islamic Republic. I'm sorry, that was another Freudian slip. The Turkish Republic is a secular state, so you can drink alcohol. You cannot do it in the Islamic Republic of Iran, where it's forbidden. That Freudian slip was the current government of Turkey that comes from a religious party has done a lot to ban alcohol in particular parts of the city. Not entirely ban it, but in particular parts of the city, enforce kind of bans or limits on drinking in public. We got a long journey, so let's rent some cinema. Let's rent some films. The old-fashioned way, I have a DVD player in the Winnebago. I thought you would just get a joke out of some of these. Alfred Hitchcock. The C is sometimes pronounced as a cha in Turkish. Woody Allen. Okay. And then Quantum Tarantino. That's a good one. Okay. And what does this tell us about Turkey? That's going to be part of our lecture. Turkey is a very good place to study globalization. So is Iran. Just globalization in Iran takes a different form. We'll see at the end of the trip. Okay, so we have our DVDs, our chai. You guys got drunk the night before. Oh, what else can we buy in the market? Talk about patriarchy of the market. You could buy Jennifer Lopez's ass. You want a souvenir from Turkey? That would be a good one. Literally saying Jennifer Lopez's ass has just recently arrived. So we're driving into now the countryside of Turkey. You see this? Let's go pay a visit on the way to Syria. Let's stop at this beautiful city where every building is made out of stone bricks quarried from the local quarry. Yeah, look at that. This is a town called Mardin. And we'll go stop at this monastery. Your teacher is asking to stop. And why? Because he wants to show you this. This is a pulpit where a priest used to give sermons. And that alphabet there is an alphabet no longer used. It's Aramaic. In other words, in Jesus's lifetime, this is the language he would be reading and writing in. Because, of course, remember, Jesus at the end of the day was a rabbi. And oh, look how short my hair was in those days. Why am I getting an audience with the bishop of this monastery? I love this guy behind me. Look at him picking his nose. Well, I'm getting an audience because the patriarch of this church, of the Syriac Orthodox Church, used to be my great uncle. In other words, my great grandfather's brother. And yeah, so we're paying a stop. So I can see the monastery he used to teach at. And then we keep on driving. We're going to Syria. Let's just say we took the wrong turn. I'm the driver, right? I got lost because this isn't technically on the way to our next country, Syria. This is going to another country. So I really got lost. It's going to a country called Armenia. We're not going to go there. There's fighting going on. But that's Mount Ararat, where Noah's Ark is supposedly to have landed after the flood receded. So we get back on the road. But okay, while we're driving this territory here, we see what's really not related to this class. Should have cut these, but anyway, abandoned Armenian churches. Well, it's kind of important for the Republic of Turkey. Turkey had a large Armenian population. And while there are debates, the Republic of Turkey, while we're on Turkish soil, we cannot say the word Armenian genocide. We have to call it a massacre. Nonetheless, what can we see is kind of the remnant of once culture that existed on part of the Ottoman Empire. Not really related to this lecture, sorry. It's for another lecture, I should have cut these. But they're still hauntingly beautiful imagery. These from Armenian church. Okay, so we get back on the road. So by the way, I'm again not sure if you can see the cursor, but we took a detour. We went in this direction when we should be going down south to that country neighboring Turkey. That is Syria. Okay. And what do we see everywhere? The patriarch picture blazoned everywhere. That's the president of Syria, Bashar al-Assad. There's been a war since 2011 to overthrow him. And we see the remnants as we drive through Syria of what the country looks like. Yeah, we still have to remember there's an ongoing war. So none of you go out, no chai stops. You have to go to the bathroom, just hold it until we drive through the country. Because we are probably just passing through rebel-held territory. Small part of the country still held by rebels. And this is putting a shoe in the mouth of not the current president, but his father. Yeah, a lot of bumps on the road. And we'll study the effects of the Syrian civil war on women during that conflict. And now you know why there were so many Syrian refugees. Yep, wave to that poor guy. Okay. Again, we drive, we see the Syrian presidents. Now we know we're back in government-held territory. And it snows in Syria. Here are snowmen mourning the loss of a dead snowman. Let me get you something to eat. We're in Damascus, it's pretty safe. This Syrian paralysis cheese, quite good. Okay. And some of you want to go home, you're homesick, so I drop you off at the airport. Ironic, we see the president's image everywhere right next to departures. Some Syrians would hope he would depart. Okay, you guys who are you got food poisoning from the paralysis cheese, so you're off. There's no COVID. Let's just take COVID out of this. It's going to make our journey too complicated. All right. Now we go to the small little country bordering Syria. So from we were in Syria's capital, Damascus. Now we're going to go to Lebanon. Okay. And what can we say about Beirut? Beirut is a country that has a large Christian population, large Muslim population, but also generally tends to be a very secular population. Here's just a funny person making fun of a Homeland episode that was supposed to be filmed in Beirut, saying, what would Claire Danes look like if she was walking through the streets of Beirut? Yeah, a lot of protests, burning tires. It's going to delay us a bit. People are angry. Why are people angry in Lebanon? Well, it all started when the Lebanese government imposed a tax on WhatsApp. Imagine paying for her WhatsApp messages. That was just the tip of the iceberg. Some people on the streets complaining about government corruption. Add that to their disastrous response to COVID-19. But there's no COVID now. Right? Forget about that. And then, of course, a massive explosion that happened in the harbor in Beirut due to a faulty wiring in a warehouse and a large amount of ammonium nitrate that shouldn't have been there. It was seized by a passing ship, and the matter was just never resolved. Yeah, Lebanon has a Miss Lebanon pageant, one of the only countries in the Middle East to do so, and has an active clubbing scene. Again, one of the few Middle Eastern countries to do so. And just nice places to walk by the beach. And its amusement parks. And we'll get to this. Unlike in Syria, where you have the picture of one president as a cult of personality, in Lebanon, depending on which neighborhood you go, you have a picture of the leader that represents your sect or religious group. Here we're entering Christian territory. And how do we know that? Well, I'm pointing it out to you. This is a Christian leader. Okay, let's get you some good Lebanese food. I think above pasta, that is definitely meant to be hummus. And let's go to, now do you see what happens? Why can't we go from the south of Lebanon to its country on the southern border? That's Israel. And there is no border crossing. They're technically at a state of war. So we have to drive back to Damascus and go to its southern country, the country on the south of its border. That is Jordan. Let's go get our car fixed. Ran over too many burning tires at Pimp Your Ride. What does this tell us? Jordan, like a lot of the countries in the Middle East, influenced by globalization, but particularly an American strain of globalization. You'd be surprised. You think of Syria and Jordan as desert. No, these are very mountainous countries, as Lebanon, and it snows in Lebanon, Syria, Jordan, and Israel, Palestine. Let's get you some fresh fish. The word shot is a word for shore. So fresh fish from the Arab shores. It just transliterated comes out funny. Okay, and maybe you want to go buy some souvenirs for your family. Let's get some nice Middle Eastern perfumes made out of incense. There's a name, Anis. Anis, not how you would pronounce it, but yeah, that is an Arabic name, Anis. And look, because we can't go to Israel, what happens next? We actually have to take our Winnebago on a ferry, okay? Because the border of Israel cuts Jordan off from Egypt. To get from Jordan to Egypt, we have to travel across water to Egypt. It's not very long. And after that, let's go and find a place to park while we go see Egypt. What do we notice in Egypt? Egypt, after its Arab Spring, also has a cult of personality. Its patriarch is President Sisi that we see here, S-I-S-I. Next to him on the left is a very popular president in Egypt named Nasser, who ruled from the 50s to the 70s. Keep his main name in mind, N-A-S-S-E-R. He's going to be important later in the class as well. So much of a cult of personality, I'm going to have to feed you guys. Here we get a sandwich in honor of the president, and ask yourself, are there really... when have you ever kind of experienced something like this? Is there something like a Trump sandwich? Yeah, of course, it's full of bologna. I'm not supposed to be partisan. I made that up myself. Oh, full of bologna with orange mustard. Okay, no, sorry, I'm not supposed to be partisan, but anyway, yeah, but I'm getting you a Sisi sandwich after the president. What do we notice? Egypt has its own version of a Banksy. He makes graffiti, and sometimes his graffiti designs, he designs into wallpaper. But it's being taken down as we drive by, because what is it critical of? The military. Sisi was not elected. He really came to power in a military coup. You guys are really tired of sitting in the Winnebago, so I'll treat you, you all get massages at Lord of the Ring Chinese Massage Center. And some of you need a haircut. Okay, I see what they mean. It's supposed to be called the Eiffel, like the Eiffel Tower, a salon for men, but they, again, mistranslated. Okay, now from Egypt, we're going to this next country. And again, we're going to have to get on a boat. There just happens to be boats from Egypt to this country because a lot of people from Egypt go to this country for their religious pilgrimage, to visit Mecca and Medina, the two Islamic holy sites where our story began. This is Saudi Arabia. Now, for the women in this class, there's a problem. Up until this point, in Syria, we needed, well, not really. I was about to say in Syria, we needed visas, but hell, it's a war zone. None of the countries required visas. We were all coming as tourists. We can't do that with Saudi Arabia. We all have to apply. The only way we could visit as foreigners is as a religious pilgrim, which means what? Everyone in this class, you're going to have to convert to Islam if you want to continue with the trip. If not, I leave you in Egypt. And I had one student really get angry just for even suggesting that hypothetically. I was like, okay, it's okay. You can stay in Egypt. Go visit the pyramids. Now, of course, the whole exercise is not only do you have to convert to Islam, all single women in our Winnebago, you have to be married. You can't go as a single woman as a religious pilgrim to Mecca and Medina. Talk about patriarchy of the state now. Because there's nothing in religion as the Islamic faith that says an unmarried single woman can go to Mecca and not do the pilgrimage. There's nothing. This is a Saudi restriction. This is really patriarchy of the state. The fact that anyone has to be Muslim before entering Mecca, that's not patriarchy. That is a religious edict. You do have to be a Muslim to enter Mecca. Anyway, so for those of you who converted, welcome. For those of you recently married, again, congrats. Don't worry, no pressure. You could unconvert the minute we leave Saudi Arabia. But you'll see there's something problematic, is because we're going to have to cross Saudi territory a couple of times in traveling in the Middle East. Okay, yeah. So you see here, this is the last entrance before we go to Mecca. If some of you managed to sneak through Saudi customs as a non-Muslim, I have to leave you here on the side of the road. Here we go. And this is Mecca, the Islamic faith, most holy site, with this disgusting Big Ben wannabe hotel constructed above it. Anyway, yeah, just to give you an idea. And this picture is already old. It's this structure has already expanded. But also remember when this is somebody a Muslim making fun of how this tower looks like. Remember when I said Paris Diva has a shop here? Yeah, you just walk after you do your pilgrimage, go across the street, you can buy a Paris Hilton bag. I think we already talked about this, but let's, yeah. Yeah, and this is the shopping mall built under the Islamic holy site where you could buy her, well, a lot of things, but yeah, you guys want to go shopping, it's fine. I think it's kind of sacrilegious, but go ahead, have fun. All right, yeah, there we go. Now, okay, in the mall, some of you have to go to the bathroom. Men in Arabic, good job. That's fine. But for women, here we're seeing societal patriarchy and the linguistic form, to be exact. Harim means the harem, or that, in other words, that's not the word for female. That's not the Arabic word for female. The word for female that's being chosen is the property of man, of a man. It's hungry, and what can we say about Saudi Arabia? You have to be Muslim if you go to the Islamic holy sites, but American culture is prevalent. Here we have a Kentucky Fried Chicken, and if it just so happens to be prayer time, you have to drop everything and conduct your prayers. So here is a mosque attached to a KFC. Of course, copyright isn't enforced. We could also get chicken at Kentucky Chicken. You could buy, well, let's get some chicken for the road. We'll barbecue later. Let's go buy it at this place called Sale of Chicken Murder. Again, bad translation. In Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia does know, except the drivers aren't really used to it. So here we have kind of a 55-car pileup on the way to our next country. Sorry, went a little bit too fast. And the country to the south of Saudi Arabia is Yemen. Extremely mountainous country. As we can see here, we stopped to take pictures, selfies on this bridge. And this is its capital, Sana'a. And just like the town where I have relatives from, Marni, look at this structure here. This is all mud brick, up to 9 to 10 stories high. It's amazing. And Saudi Arabia is waging a war against this country in aerial campaigns. Yemen has no air force, so this country, and though those mud brick buildings were built to withstand time, but not bombs provided by the US. So yeah, this is what we see throughout this country. Notice how the woman is dressed. And we're going to see this throughout the country. Now, this is not religious patriarchy. I'm sorry, this is not or religious patriarchy. Women wear the veil. I mean, there is no state in Yemen. This is in the civil war. The state has collapsed. Women wear the veil for the most part in Yemen because of societal tradition. And they wear a full niqab, as we see here. Just the stuff we see as we're driving in our Winnebago, just amazing architects, the Yemenis. And yeah, literally villages floating in the skies. So hopefully I'm just kind of overcoming some of the stereotypes you have in terms of Middle Eastern geography. And you see these clouds, these are monsoon winds. So this area is very fertile. But because it's mountainous, none of the clouds reach Saudi Arabia, and that's why it's desert. Okay. The clouds reach Yemen, the mountains force the rains to discharge the water, and that's why Arabia itself is a desert. We'll spend the night in one of these houses. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Now, what do we notice, these Yemenis? What's in their mouth? What's that green stuff? It's not matcha. It's a leaf called qat. Okay. Qat is a mild narcotic. And it causes a lot of problems in terms of it's very water intensive. So I said Yemen is fertile, but not enough to support the cotton industry. And it's also mild narcotic means this country is wildly unproductive because most people are just high on it for the entire day. Now we're going to come down from the mountains into a river valley. And it would be a river valley like this that a young man named Mohammed bin Laden left Yemen to make his fortune in Saudi Arabia. Of course, that would be Osama bin Laden's father. And villages like this depend on the monsoon flash floods, or less to get their water. And you can see, yeah, the flash flood leaves kind of fertile areas at the valley floor, but that's it. And just like Sana'a, you have these skyscrapers, again, just built out of mud bricks. Now, what's the country next to Yemen? That is the country of Oman, spelled like, oh man, you spilt my water. Most of Oman's cities are facing the Indian Ocean. It's a maritime culture. With every now and then we pass an oasis in the deserts or the interior of Oman. Then we go to the next country, the United Arab Emirates, that are neither united nor Arab nor really Emirates. What do I mean by that? They aren't united. They're divided into 7 principalities that have a lot of conflicts. It's not really Arab. The vast majority of the population are guest workers from India and the Philippines. And they aren't really ruled by emirs per se. Technically, their leaders are a sheikh, so they should be the United Arab Sheikdoms. It's a minor difference, but technically it's not really the UAE. But anyway, we go here for, whoa, look at that. That's the tallest building in the world. Yeah, really tall. Just massive cities, and again, just built out of nothing. And then when you ran out of space, well, you didn't run out of space, you just chose to build offshore. This is an artificial floating island. Again, English is spoken more widely than Arabic, but you still have a bit of spelling mistakes every now and then in Dubai. I used to live in Dubai. This was the restaurant around the corner. I'm not sure if it's still there because, you know, copyright and all. Yeah, but let's go get a coffee at Central Perk. And again, what is all of this telling us? Globalization, the effects of globalization on the modern day Middle East. Now, you see what I said? You got to, Saudi Arabia is difficult because now we have to go back into Saudi Arabia again. Convert if you reverted back to your original religion, and or if you're an atheist, adopt Islam again for the time being. And yeah, you know, time to get married if you got divorced. And we'll skip Qatar and Bahrain, nothing to see there. And let's go to Kuwait, boring. Next, we go to this country to the north of Kuwait, Iraq. And here we are in my other hometown. Now, to be honest, I'm not sure if you have to be Muslim to enter this shrine or this city. It's too late. We're into there now. A kind of form of globalization here. You guys must be hungry again. Let's go get in one of Iraq's holiest shrines. We could get pizza. And enough sweets to give you diabetes. Those are mountains of baklava. And remember, this was once a war zone. So we still see tanks just littered around. This was a mosque that was built by, we're going into Baghdad now. Oh, sorry, where were we before? This is Najaf. This was a mosque built by Saddam Hussein. The minarets were supposed to look like Scud missile launchers. One of you lost your passports. So I have to get you a new one. And we have to go to the American embassy. If you don't speak in English, you'll probably be dead by the time you got to the stop sign. It's a funny picture I took. There used to be a big statue. So we're going to go through this roundabout. There used to be a big statue of Saddam Hussein here. It was taken down under this iconic moment signaling the end of the Iraq War. And while the patriarch Saddam Hussein, his statue and images used to be everywhere, this is what we see as we drive by in terms of a mural. Okay. And I guess not much to see in Baghdad, so let's go to its neighboring country, Iran. Now in Iran Saudi Arabia is a theocracy that is blended with a kingdom. Iran is a republic that is also a theocracy. It's an Islamic republic. Now, in this case, none of you have to convert, even though it's an Islamic republic. Nor, if you are a foreigner, I don't think you have to get married. If I'm not mistaken, you don't have to get married. I haven't snuck in foreign women into Iran, so I'm not sure of the rules. I usually go there by myself. And by the way, most of the pictures we have had in the lectures, these are my own pictures. That's why the images are so poor. Because it's just, I took it on celluloid film, had them transformed to digital formats, but it just never worked. I did it at Costco, their equipment is crap. But anyway, let's go to Iran. As we enter Iran, though, we see a billboard that's meant for Iranian women. Oh, by the way, sorry. All the women in our Winnebago, you still have to cover your hair. You still have to wear a hijab. It is an Islamic republic. And what is this sign? Okay. The veil, I just saw it in English. Wow, so they translated it for you. Look at that. Veil is security. In other words, if you women are like a piece of chocolate. And if you don't cover your chocolateness, flies will come around. Cover your chocolateness, no flies. Wow. That's advice for Mike Pence. I'm sorry, I shouldn't be partisan, but ching, number 2, all right. Oh yeah, and I translated it up there for you. Stupid me, the Zoom bar is like getting in the way, but yeah. Okay, some advice for you women. You wouldn't want your hair out or the flies will come, just like Pence. Okay. I can get you KFC here, okay? The thing is, this is not it's an unlicensed version because the US has sanctions on Iran, which means no American company can open up a branch in Iran. Doesn't matter. Some of you want McDonald's, I could take you one place better, MashDonald's. I'll just show you kind of the globalization in Iran. And no Starbucks, again, Iran under sanctions, but I could take you to its local ripoff, where the Frappuccinos would probably be better. And again, not an officially sanctioned Apple iStore, but there you have, what's his name, Steve Jobs. And yeah, it's the real thing. Somehow they're getting these MacBooks in. They're probably smuggled. And of course, you're paying probably double the price because you're paying the smuggling fee. Okay, that ended our trip throughout the Middle East. Hopefully you have a better idea of how the modern borders of the Middle East look like. Have a sense of the geography. just some of the sense of the trouble women have in each of these countries, particularly in terms of mobility. And finally, now this is the next part of the course, we're going to be looking at gender, women in each, well, in most of these nation states that we just traveled through. Huh, you think that was exhausted? I've done this journey in real life, and it is exhausting. But anyway, hope you enjoyed this. Come on now, end. Sorry about that.